This is Eagle News America. I'm Alfred Esenes coming to you from Hawaii. Philippine Foreign Service posts in the United States celebrate Kalayaan 2020, marking the 122nd year of Philippine independence. Now this year, Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Jose Manuel Romualdez, commended the bravery and strength of Filipino frontliners and health workers in the fight against COVID-19. Joining us now in Washington, D.C., we have Estela Dominique with her story. Aloha, Estela.
Aloha, Alfred. Thank you. Indeed, June 12 is Philippine Independence Day. The celebration here this year is different due to the pandemic. The Philippine Embassy here in Washington, D.C. led Kalayaan 2020, the commemoration of the 122nd year of Philippine independence. The ambassador was joined virtually via Facebook Live by Philippine consulates general in Agana, Chicago, Honolulu, Houston, Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco, and the Philippine Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York. Philippine Ambassador Jose Manuel G. Romualdez said in his remarks, quote, "While the COVID-19 pandemic has brought fear and uncertainty into our lives, it has also brought out the best in the Filipino, particularly through the frontliners and health workers all over the world." Dedicating the celebration to Filipinos frontlining the battle against COVID-19, Ambassador Romualdez said in an exclusive audio message sent to Eagle News, "The pandemic made us appreciate more our relationship with one another and has driven us to keep connected to one another." Let's listen.
The Philippine Foreign Service posts in the United States worked together to organize this online celebration of Philippine Independence Day for all Filipinos and our friends in the United States and the Caribbean region. While COVID-19 keeps us physically apart because of social distancing, it also makes us appreciate our relationships more and drives us to find ways and means to maintain our social connections. Thankfully, there is this available technology that allows us to feel closer to each other in this time of the pandemic. I hope that this online program will remind Filipinos that we are a nation of heroes. Our independence was won by the courage and resilience of our ancestors, and these are the same virtues displayed by the Filipino frontliners and the Filipino communities who are doing their best to uplift their fellow men during this crisis. This program is actually being dedicated to all our Filipino frontliners in the Philippines and abroad. Thank you very much to Eagle Broadcasting for broadcasting this in their network. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Ambassador Romualdez expressed appreciation to the governments of the United States and territories in the Caribbean region. He recognized their continued partnership and support for the Philippine government's efforts to assist Filipinos affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. He also acknowledged the Filipino communities in the U.S. and Caribbean for their bayanihan spirit and the dedicated service of personnel of the Philippine diplomatic and consular missions in the United States. Esther Barroso Guerzon and Roy Flores, two Filipino-American musical theater artists and members of Broadway Barkada, performed Umagang Kay Ganda and Beautiful City. Guerzon said performing at the celebration was an honor. She thanked overseas Filipino workers for their irrefutable dedication. Take a look.
Being part of Kalayaan 2020, or the recent Philippine Independence Day celebration with the Philippine embassies all over the U.S., was a very special moment for me. That was my very first time to participate in such an important event. So I was very honored and grateful to be a part of it. And it's also not every day that I get to sing in Tagalog, so that made it even more meaningful for me. My message to our overseas Filipino workers, just a huge thank you to all of you for your hard work, sacrifice, and dedication. I pray that you all stay safe and remain healthy. Mabuhay at maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
A tribute was given to Filipino frontliners in the Philippines, the U.S., and Caribbean region. Eagle News asked Jeffrey Sanedad, an overseas Filipino worker in D.C., why he thinks Filipinos around the world should show solidarity now more than ever. Here's what he said.
Sa makabagong panahon, ang pagiging bayani ay hindi na lamang nasusukat sa pagbubuwis ng buhay sa pakikidigma. Bagkus, sa lumalaganap na pandemya, ipinamalas nito ang iba't ibang uri ng pagiging bayani. Sa paglaganap ng nakahahawang sakit na ito, binabatid nito sa ating lahat na tayo ay pantay-pantay lamang. Walang pinipili ang sakit na ito kung ikaw man ay mayaman o mahirap, sa kulay ng iyong balat, sa lengguwaheng iyong ginagamit sa larangan ng pakikipagtalas-tasa. Ang pagmamalasakit at pagtulong sa kapwa ay ilan lamang sa katangian ng pagiging isang bayani. Sa pagkakataong ito, naipamalas na naman ng mga Filipino ang kabayanihan sa bawat isa. Ang pagtutulungan sa panahon ng kahirapan. Sa panahong ito, muli, atin na naman itong naipamalas na sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaisa, pagmamalasakit at pagtulong sa kapwa, kakayanin natin anuman ang pagsubok sa ating buhay. Gaya ng mga pinamalas ng ating mga bayani upang ating makamtan ang kasarinlan o kalayaan ng bansang Pilipinas. Mula po dito sa bansang Amerika, ako po si Jeff Sanidad, bumabati po sa bawat Filipino sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo sa ating paggunita sa araw ng kalayaan ng bansang Pilipinas. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Eagle News here in the nation's capital wishes to greet all Filipinos a happy Independence Day. In Washington, D.C., Estella Dominique, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alfred.
Maraming salamat, mahalo, Estella, for that wonderful report. Very informative and very inspiring with those remarks from the ambassador, Esther, and that one Filipino overseas worker. Now, you are Filipino of descent yourself. How do you keep connected with the Filipino community there, in your neighborhood?
Well, Alfred, our family always looks forward to events sponsored by the Philippine Embassy here in D.C. They would actually sponsor culture events around the area. I remember one time we went to our international film festival here where the Philippines had several entries. They were very entertaining and informative. So I remember that. It was very exciting. So that's one way I keep connected to the Filipino community.
That's good to know. Now, I take it you and your sister are still students, and of course, the next school year is not far away. How do you? What can you do as far as maintaining the Pinoy culture, and being proud of, for your peers in your school community?
Well, before the pandemic happened, some of my friends, my sister and I, we wanted to share the Filipino culture with our classmates in our school. We found a teacher who is also Filipino. He sponsored the club. We created a club called Kalayaan Club for our school. We would have meetings and we would invite non-Filipino and Filipinos to the meetings, and we'll just share about the culture and also inform them about Filipino facts, the facts about the Philippines, and just interesting cultural facts. And it was very fun because a lot of people came, which was very inspiring.
That's awesome. Now, so it looks like in-campus schooling may or may not, take place. But regardless, what are your plans for this Kalayaan Club in the coming school year?
Hopefully, we could continue this club in the future. A lot of the activities we planned for the past school year could not happen because of the situation. If the following school year is still online, we'll just have to adapt to the environment on maybe like online meetings to continue those meetups. But if ever we do go back to campus, we'll continue to hold the meetings, hopefully. And we want to train lower classmen so they could continue this club, because it's actually the first Filipino culture-based student organization in our high school, so which was pretty cool. So hopefully it continues in the future.
That's good to know. You guys have, a plan at least in place, and being flexible about it. Salutations to you, and make sure your parents reward you for that hard work, especially what you're doing right now. Thank you very much, Estella.
Thank you.
Take care, please.
Thank you.